In this week's episode of Ushio and Tora, the Beast Spear has been stolen by Kiryu in an event manipulated by the demonic Hakumen no Mono. Without a doubt, the best scene from this week's episode had to be when Nagare Akiba kissed Tora on the mouth. All so that he could piss him off so that he would destroy a wall. Couldn't he have just simply asked Tora to do it? I think that Akiba likes Tora a little too much. This episode was pretty freaking wicked right here, and honestly pretty creepy towards the end, with all of these brand new synthetic homunculi monsters, which are being created by Kiryu's organization. But first, the episode opens up with Ushio, who is continuing to go through this weird funk where he's second-guessing himself, and Tora tries to bring him out of his funk by literally, slashing his shoulder and saying that he's gonna eat him, but he claims that he's so weak that he's not even worth eating, so Tora runs away. After Tora leaves, Kiryu and his group of monks show up, and they steal the Beast Spear pretty freaking easily, and that's because they have that red cloth which has the ability to actually seal it. In fact, they're going to take the Beast Spear, and they're going to chuck it into this concrete block, which is filled with boiling lead and mercury, which should do the job. Ushio meets up with Hinawa, he goes to the Kohame sect and lets them know what happens, and this is where you start to learn that there is a rift between the Kohame sect, and this has all been manipulated, of course, by the Hakumen no Mono and its followers, like that one creepy chick, Tawako, and that's what we learn in this episode. We learn about the origins of Kiryu. Apparently, he's a test tube baby. He's this weird experimental human. They actually took him as a child. He was abducted by that creepy woman, Tawako, and she was working with this member of the Kohame sect who went by the name of Inasa, who delved into some really deep and dark stuff, like some western, voodoo and all that jazz. Basically, he was trying to create the perfect holy weapon, which could take down the Hakumen no Mono, but everything sort of went south when he joined this Tawako chick, who managed to create this scythe called the Elzar Scythe, which was really powerful at first, but really, this is all a part of a plan to create these bunch of weapons, which really can't even harm the demons whatsoever. It's all a big, elaborate plot to destroy the Beast Spear so that the Hakumen no Mono can thrive. The rest of the episode features our main characters assaulting the mansion where Kiryu and his organization are getting ready to destroy the Beast Spear, but they have all of these synthetic bio-created creatures, which are really, really disturbing. And we also get a really unlikely team-up with Tora and Nagare actually meeting each other on the road. He decides he's going to hang out with him for a little bit so he's not going to be bored. This is also where we learn a little bit more about Nagare himself, where the reason he kills monsters is just really to get rid of his boredom. He has a lot in common with Tora. Getting to see them hang out is also really cool, too, because they're basically just kicking ass while they're having a really nice conversation. They're like those guys in action movies who don't look at the explosions behind them. They're just badass. And as if this show wasn't weird enough, there's also this giant robot, or this golem that just comes out of nowhere. And the episode ends with the Beast Spear about to be destroyed. Will Ushio and his friends stop this from happening? Almost certainly, but I will say I like this episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Ushio and Tora? A very simple episode. I really just don't have that much to say about this one outside that it was just really fun getting to see Tora and Akiba hanging out, because I just think those two actually really play off each other really well, especially when they just sort of bust in and just start destroying all of these monsters while talking all at the same time. I was glad that they did that because it expands on the characters just a little bit more and makes them seem a little more two-dimensional. The only thing that kind of bugged me about this episode is that Ushio is going through this weird funk at the beginning of the episode, and it seems like we just sort of got over that, especially with him being consumed by the power of the Beast Spear. It seemed like that was sort of the same type of storyline that's going on here, but they need to expand on this Kiryu character a little bit, who is creepily this weird experimental human who's just been sort of manipulated by the Hakumen no Mono and its followers, so I think that's pretty interesting. I don't know how they convinced these monks that this was a good idea. They had to see all this weird, crazy shit that was going on, and the entire backstory with Inasa was also pretty well done. They just managed to condense all of this stuff into one episode, so in many ways, a lot of things did happen this episode. But really, that's all I have to say about it. It was just a fun Monster Mash episode. They're clearly going to save the Beast Spear. There's no way they're going to destroy it. And they're probably eventually going to be able to bring Kiryu over to their side. But first, they're probably going to have one hell of a battle with that Tawako chick. And boy, does she have a death stare from hell. So this was a fun episode of Ushio and Tora. I liked it quite a bit. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Pretty good animation and artwork across the board. Some fun action scenes and more of those fantastic characters. spoilers. So check out this week's episode, guys. You might see something you like. But if you did watch this week's episode of Ushio and Tora, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Do you have a favorite scene from this week's episode? A favorite action scene? What do you want to see from the rest of this series? Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.